is dead. Earlier this afternoon, while easing myself as quietly as I could out of the air conditioning duct that runs over the dressing rooms, I lost my footing and hit my head on the corner of a radiator. I was so disoriented that it took me half an hour just to get my trousers back on. But then I suddenly realised none of this is actually happening. This is just a ludicrous anecdote that I'm going to be reading off autocue later today. These trousers I've just been struggling to get over my erection aren't real. The radiator, the bruised penis, the photographs of miles I took on my phone, none of these are real. I'm simply trapped in a cartoonish story being told by my future self on what little remains of television comedy. This brings us to the work of the French philosopher Jean Baudrillard, who felt that we had become obsessed with images at the expense of reality. He felt that reality had been replaced by hyper-reality, that in the modern world nothing was real anymore, and that we're all complicit in this, that we're caught in a vast Stockholm syndrome. We internalise the global order and dance along with the carnival, whether we like it or not. Baudrillard's way of putting it is that humanity finds itself at the bedside of a dying reality. In 2020, with concepts like truth and objectivity melting all around us, his work seems more relevant than ever. Joining us to discuss the work of French cultural theorist Jean Baudrillard, please welcome philosopher Dr. Isabelle Miller. Hi Isabelle, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Why do you think Baudrillard is relevant today?
Baudrillard was, in his time, thought of as rather absurd. The idea that there is no longer truth, there is no longer reality, that everything is just an illusion. But actually, some of his ideas are now coming into view as the only way that we can really understand our modern condition. And even though he may have spoken about the idea of everything is fake, he didn't actually say that there was no longer anything real.
Oh, I'm going to be wrong a lot during this
You're
discussion.
going to be very wrong. His point was that because of the absolute proliferation of images and signs and visual stimulus all the time, we've entered into a whole different realm of reality. And the point that Baudrillard was trying to make was that once you detach from reality in the sense that you enter into, for example, a digital realm where you are involved in a system of signs and visual stimulus that create a sense of coherence for you, this becomes more real for you. There isn't another world that you can go back to. And on a very banal level, we all experience that when we're engaging in social media. My Instagram account is literally better than my real life, so why would I go back?
Now, I like to think of myself as a social media influencer. I've influenced over 40,000 people to delete Twitter. So what happens when you put a bunch of click-hungry influencers, brand ambassadors and TikTok superstars in a house together? Sadly, not a meteor strike. We get a harrowing glimpse into one such hype house in this unpleasantly upbeat report.
Here's what goes on at our adult TikTok house called the Honey House. Bea is a mindset and meditation coach, so she's always leading guided meditations on her computer. Erin is an e-com wizard, and so she consults and advises a lot of better for you brands, so she's always sitting here on her computer crushing it. Jared's a fitness trainer, and he's also an actor, so if he's not reading his sides, he's working out and he's probably eating. Nick is a mindset and motivation coach, and so he's always firing people up on the phone. Evan and Dina are models and fitness trainers, and if they're not doing a photo shoot, they're working out. And then there's me.
See, I actually quite like that there is that, and it functions as a sort of colostomy bag that just diverts all these people into this place, and we don't have to bump into them when we're going out for coffee.
But they think we're the colostomy bag.
It's okay for them to think that, so long as they don't run into them.
Yeah.
I find it really hard to watch, and part of it is empathy towards them, because I'm like, literally TikTok on your career. That's not, can't be sustainable.
It's the fact, to me, that they all seem to work in communal areas, which I think seems to be absolutely breaking the rules of flattened house shapes. Find your own space.
Isn't it also that they've been exploited? Don't we get some sense of that? And you're like, there'll be a person that runs that house, that owns that house.
There's no evidence that there's proper plumbing or toilets, anything like that.
But isn't there something sinister about the way that reaction leads to behaviour? Do you know what I mean? So, like, if someone does something and it's popular, then there's loads more of that. So, like, say someone in that house had a paper cut and, like, their views spiked, then suddenly they're all just, like, smashing each other into mirrors. And turns into a kind of human abattoir.
When they stop being beautiful or having abs, like, what do they do then? And I'm not saying they're talentless people, I'm saying that their skill set has been so finely tuned to a set of social media that we don't even know will stay around.
Yeah, they obviously have the illusion that they're living their best lives and all doing whatever they want to do and following their passion. But of course, you know, they are constantly creating content for consumption. They think that they're having a great time. Maybe they will continue having a great time, but for how long, I don't know.
Maybe they'll unionise.
Maybe.
But I think they do have skills. I think what they know is they make more money if they're beautiful. And so that's the thing. And actually, a lot of the world is that shallow.
Yes, being fit is a transferable skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep just lying to myself that it's not true.
You've got to start acknowledging just how far your looks have got you, Frankie.
Hyperreality hit a glossy new height on Saturday nights with The Masked Singer, a show so giddyingly postmodern it was as if TV had dug up Baudrillard's body, eaten it and shat it out onto our baffled screens.
The Right Honourable Alan Johnson. Yay! Alan! Ladies and gentlemen, it's Alan Johnson!
Take it away, Alan!
All the old paintings on the street, they use the sand and stone.
I mean, I'm fascinated by this. Because, like, A, they wouldn't have recognised him if he'd been in a giant Alan Johnson costume. Like, the chances of that Korean-American guy guessing it, that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But there's also the thing of, like, why he did it, the huge reaction from the judges. Are they living out how we're supposed to react to it?
I don't think they're replacing emotions, they're leading them. Because some people at home will be like, what's he doing? He's a proper MP. What's he doing, this serious man dressed up like that?
The whole audience and the panellists are telling you, you have to care. This is exciting. This is amazing. This is fantasy. Which, when it's revealed, everybody knows, oh, it's just fucking Alan Johnson.
I don't know. I wonder if this is because it's become normalised as we get more into the hyper-real and that I'm just older. Because, like, you know, when I was growing up, if the Chancellor of the Exchequer had appeared on TV as a kind of giant grasshopper or something singing, it would have been really weird.
Well, if Alan Johnson was sitting in here dressed like that, it would seem bonkers.
Baudrillard thought that in our world of clones and copies, where everything has been constantly replicated and reproduced, reality itself was under attack. He talked about the extermination of the real by its double, an idea which is being played out in China, where a replica of London has been built just before the nuclear extermination of the real London by the Chinese in June 2021. Here's a strange and surprising report on the newly built Thames Town.
Thames Town has Victorian and Georgian-style housing for 10,000 people, red British-style phone booths, and, perhaps oddest of all, a church with a spire that's a close copy of a mid-19th century Anglican one in Bristol. A columnist in Global Times, an English-language newspaper in Beijing, accused Shanghai officials of being unconcerned about cultural affinity or national ethos. For them, she said, the appeal of the foreign had come first.
我感到那个有点像他们说的，他们去过英国的，我们中国人啊，这个街道最像了，最像。房子的结构和那个一个教堂，你是英国的，教堂不是。
I'd love to be hired as like a British consultant for that place and just go, well, you're not going to believe this, but someone needs to piss in that phone box.
Every third shop needs to be a charity shop or a vape shop, really.
Yeah, and they're having this, like, British wedding, but there's no fight or cha-cha slide. It's absolutely not.
Certainly lacked a scuffle in the car park.
I think we also don't know quite, in terms of how, like, Britain it is, we don't know quite what happened to the dissenting soldier at the end that pointed out that the church wasn't quite like it should have been. I mean, those could have been his final words.
Drowned in a barrel.
A British barrel.
In a recent poll, 14% of men admitted to being aroused by their smart speaker Alexa. Against the other 86% just aren't shoving it high enough up their arse. According to Baudrillard, the dream of the virtual era is to humanise the machine, to render it intelligent and soulful, and make it truly interactive. The question is, can love and sex survive the shift into virtual reality? Here's a troubling look at one man's answer.
This is Hatsune Miku. She is a hologram. And this is Akihiko Kondo, her husband. You look cute today.
I love compliments.
Miku is a simple form of artificial intelligence, and for Kondo, it was a case of love at first sight. In November 2018, Kondo married Miku at a ceremony in Tokyo. He placed the ring around the wrist of a Miku doll. Kondo's relationships with real women have been painful, so he chose a virtual partner.
You know he's come home drunk and fucked an espresso machine. Does he have, like, no friends who can go, it doesn't love you, it's a fucking nightlight?
Oh, but Frankie, you could say that about so many people about what they love. It doesn't bother me at all that there isn't another person involved in this. I think that's quite pure.
I don't know that it's pure.
What don't you think is pure about it?
Well, anything where they can't give consent.
Yeah.
So it's that.
They didn't knock on a vibrator.
Well, you say that, but sometimes it falls out the cupboard itself.
I'm all judged.
It's obviously been programmed by a man as well, not a woman. Because if you said to any woman, "You look nice today," she wouldn't go, "I love compliments." She'd be like, "I look like a pig and I hate myself."
What do you think of that stuff, Isabel?
Well, I think that people like him actually are just a symptom of the more sad and banal reality that we only ever have the fantasy. She's perfect and she's untouchable, and in a very real sense, she's unreachable for him. What Baudrillard would have called a fatal strategy to give in to the triumph of the object. He's saying, well, that's all we ever have, so let's just fuck them.
Well, that's the end of the show. Thanks to my guests, Sarah Pascoe, Miles Jupp, Kerry Pritchard McLean, and Dr. Isabel Miller. But before I go, I'd like to leave you with this thought. Identity politics is a useful phrase, something you can throw into conversation when what you mean is politics, but you also want people to know that you're a total cockend. I had to think this week about what my own identity consists of. Well, I'm straight. I suppose that currently I'm basically looking for a woman whose genetic clock is ticking so loudly that it drowns out the voice of reason. I'm socially liberal, which is interesting in Scotland, where there are a lot of socially conservative folk. There was a recent thing where a lot of reactionaries in the independence movement got very worked up about a drag queen visiting a school. People were saying things like, would you be happy to see a drag queen in your child's school? When I was growing up, we had priests in the schools. You actually went to school with a sort of paedophile wizard. I suppose my main identity comes from growing up working class. This means that I find it impossible to listen to Beethoven without feeling like a serial killer in an ITV two-part drama. One bulwark against social mobility in Britain is the public school system. Eton has supplied this country with 20 prime ministers. The toughest thing for the careers advisor at Eton is explaining to pupils that they can't all be prime minister and that some of them will have real power. Jacob Rees-Mogg doesn't even know the price of milk, but that's because he still gets it straight from his nanny's nipples. There's a very poor understanding of privilege among the British middle classes. Stand-up comedy, for example, is full of people whose school had its own cathedral, but who identify as low-status underdogs because they wear a jumper on stage. Indeed, hipsterism is a kind of working-class cosplay. Hipsters perform as hobbies, things like baking, brewing and pottery, that actual working-class people used to do as a job. And the restaurants and cafes serve drinks in jam jars and meals on bits of wood or slate, because that's how they think the working classes probably did it in the past or something. We were poor, not fucking demented. What we should acknowledge is that people at public schools suffer too. We can't really expect empathy from a class of people whose parents barely slowed the car down to drop them off at boarding school, or they'd get a birthday card that read, "To whom it may concern." And so what do we do about all this? You can't expect an upper-class person to give their power away to people they don't know. They're barely willing to have sex outside of their own family. I feel I can say this in the spirit of a week where the government says it can break laws as it sees fit. But I suppose that eventually the only thing to sort out all this business of oppression perpetuated through social class will be to have some kind of revolution. Good night.
Say,